Okay, we're live at 5. Let's just focus on the centre of the bench, not the coffee. There we go. Hope you can see what we're doing now. Okay, live at 5, little live jewellery making session tonight. Welcome to Roberts & Co, welcome to London. Tonight we're going to make some 18 karat gold wedding bands, 2x1mm court profile. Yeah, an 18 karat yellow gold. These are some we made in a previous live stream. They've been pre-polished. So if you've seen the live streams from the past few days, we made these two. I think that was a size K and a size O. We need to make, well, we need to make a lot more, but the aim tonight is to make this live stream because we are limited by time. So let's try and make a 3 on the coffee. Because we've turned pro. Right, YouTube, copyright, no more beers. I'm missing the beers already. So I've been one day. Right, so this is 18 karat yellow gold wire. Turn the music down a bit. This is 18 karat yellow gold court shaped wire, which is basically oval in profile. We make this in-house. We melt gold in. There's it. You can see they're marked 18 karat yellow gold. There's the crucibles, 10-15 grams. Pour it into a graphite ingot mould. Once it's cooled, peen the ingot, which involves a load of small hammer blows, and then it goes through our rolling mills. This is actually a piece of 9 karat gold we've been working on. That's actually a little over 2 mil. So yeah, once it gets to that sort of size, so it starts off a small little stubby ingot, we then put it through the rolling mills, which first of all, we make it square just because it's the most effective way to reduce it down in profile. And yeah, this one we've been working on for a few days now. So that's about 2 mil, but that's 9 karat yellow gold. That will ultimately be 1 mil round wire, and it'll be 1.3 meters long, believe it or not. That's 15 grams, so yeah, about 1.3 meters. So yeah, this wire at some point was probably slightly larger than that, and then we go from that square shape. It then goes through a court-shaped draw plate, of which I've got different profiles, different percentages, height to width, and this one's the 50% 2x1. And let me give you a close-up of this. Make out the end of that. Yeah, it's oval in shape, and that's the real difference between having handmade rings. The fundamental difference between handmade rings and machine-made rings. There are pros and cons to both. So the machine-made ones are extruded tube turned on a lathe, and they have no joint. But what happens in the lathe turning process is you often end up with, I haven't seen one yet with actual properly curved edges unless they've been hand finished afterwards, which is hard to get even. So yeah, these ones, when they're handmade by wire like this, they have an actual rounded or curved edge. Most of the machined ones I've ever seen have they're curved top, they're curved on the inside and the outside, but for some reason I don't know why the lathe doesn't seem able to completely curve that flat edge. Maybe it can, but it's just due to the weight profiles. But yeah, they do have to be sewed together. These are more time consuming to make than the machined ones. More labour intensive doing it this way. But on a small scale, it's fine. So I need to cut the 3 lengths. Actually, I've already got one pre-cut, which I pre-cut in a saw frame video. So one of them's pre-cut, and then we need to cut 2 more lengths off of this and make the rings. So the first one I've pre-cut, which is an L. I have this little sheet which I've made, which is the lengths we need. This is actually, that's for this draw plate. Those are the weights for 9 karat. I just took this out of 9 karat stock. So this would have been a 56 mil, which will make a large L, and then we can size it down. So yeah, this should be 56 mil long. I want to make an L. I'm also going to make an R and an X if we get time. So let me just clean up the ends of this. We also need to put our maker's mark on the inside. I want to do it before I form it. I do have hallmarking punches. Our maker's hallmark. They do have them that swan neck that you can use on the inside of a ring, but it's just easier to do it before you form it. And if you do it deep enough, we're going to be using a ring shank former, so it doesn't deform the stamp. If you're hammering it, it may do, but the way we're going to form this is quite gentle. So this is a swage block, which is a load of half round sections. So because this is oval, it sits perfectly in this. If this were flat on the outside, I'd be using a flat bench block. Can you see that from that camera angle? I just put this in the right way because there was a little mark I wanted to ensure that was on the inside. Let's go now. Just make sure that is actually, I don't know. I need to get a new camera on the phone. Oh yeah, you can see that. Let's leave that as it is. I need to get a camera with a wider range of view. So this is one of our hallmarks. We've got them in different sizes. This is the same size, although it's a straight punch, it is the same size as our ring one. The ring ones are slightly curved. Swan neck and slightly curved. So this is for flat pieces. Is this an O? Size O, I think that is. I think. But yeah, R&Co maker's marks. Every jeweller's got unique hallmarks. I've mentioned this in previous videos. The way I originally saw the people in the assay office doing this was a one and done with a really heavy club hammer. I tried that and it quite often bounced, it would bounce. It's quite a brutal way of doing it, and I mean they're doing it all day, every day, 5 days a week, so they're obviously experienced at it. They're also quite brutal when they do it. They haven't got to straighten it out afterwards, have they? The jewellers, we have. So that is quite a brutal way to do it. But when I went to the assay office, most of it appeared to be getting done with fly presses, with press tooling. So I've got a massive fly press, and that is a really good way of doing it. It gives you a lot more control than a hammer over the depth and the pressure. Once you become accustomed to the press, you can get a really good repetitive motion going. I quite often use that for our tie clips. I also use it for the money clips with the really big presses because you can get a lot of power going in. But what I mentioned in previous videos is I saw the ladies doing the decorative stamping, and to get an even stamp, what they were doing is a series of light hammer blows and sort of rotating. That's an exaggerated view there, but they were sort of rotating it, and then they were able to get a very clear, even impression, and that seems to be quite a good way. I found that's a very good way of doing it. So a lot of light hammer blows. You can, once you've got a certain enough depth, you can then even if it's not deep enough or slightly off, you can relocate the punch in and carry on hammering. I'm just trying to make sure that's centered on the ring and in every way centered on the. We want it as, as far away from the solder joint as possible, ideally. Yeah, so that's in. Perfectly legible, deep enough so it won't be polished out, but not so deep and done so hard that you've caved in the back side of it. We'll leave that to the assay office. Actually, they're pretty good. They're pretty good on rings. Usually. Famous last words. Yeah, let me give you, I don't know if that'll come out on camera, I'll give you a close up of that. Rings are the better ones. So that, you probably won't make it out, but it actually says R&Co for Robertson Co. Right, so now ring shank bender. Let's see if this is a close enough size. These are great for getting they don't taper the ring like a triplet will, so it just helps you. It's a much quicker way of lining up the joints. What I tend to do with these rings, it depends on the rings actually. On the smaller rings I do make a coil and then cut through with a saw blade. With these I'm going to make them straight and then round them off, which jewelers argue about. I've covered this in many previous videos. Everyone who doesn't, you know, a lot of people just stick to one way, and I do use both and for different things. I find that lining up the joint like this, although you do run the risk of putting pressure on the joint, so you know, if you can put so much pressure on the joint on larger rings that the joint fails, then you have to do it again. But it just gets them. I just find that it's aesthetically the joint looks better. And we're making pretty things, not practical things. Generally speaking, if you leave the excess solder on the outside of the joint when you're making it round, it doesn't crack. I mean, I'm not saying it never will, but that definitely adds enough strength to the joint to drastically reduce the risk of overstressing the joint to the point of cracking. Right, I'm going to run an 8/0 saw blade. It's 8/0 because I know it's the thinnest one we've got, and that's in there. And run that through the joint just to get a perfect fit. There's a little bit of daylight on one side of this. Broke the blade. Occupational hazard. I haven't broken a blade live yet, I don't think. That's the first. Well, maybe I did break one. That might be the second one. I think I've broken 2/0. I've had a good run. Famous last words. This is a Grobay Swiss style saw frame. I've made there's a full length video about saw frames on the channel. This is my favourite one. Luckily it's not an expensive one, 20 something quid. Real quick to fit the blades, as you just saw, and get pretty good tension very quickly. Right, let's take the burrs off. This is an escapement file, Barrett escapement file I'm using. I need to take the burr off from sawing through, but also what actually, there's an issue that I've got, and I really don't know what causes it. But if you don't clean, when you make your own wire, unlike wire you buy from, if you buy wire from the bullion dealer, it's almost like it's had this process done to it, like the solder flows. Just flux it, the solder flows. If you don't file off, whatever surface, it's not even, I've tried everything to get it off, it's almost like a surface tension that needs filing off rather than a surface coating. There's no coating on this. I've tried barreling it, I've tried polishing it, like anything other than filing or emery. If you don't take the surface off this, it's almost like there's a layer of oil or grease on the surface, and the solder just goes everywhere, apart from through the, it does not flow like normal solder or normal. Ultrasonic cleaning doesn't, whatever happens to the surface when you're using draw plates, it's not, obviously there is oil and grease and dirt and a lot, especially in our antique ones, but even if you clean it, even if you put it in, heat it up and put it in the pickle, I don't know what it is. Right, we get a little close up of what we've done there. So now we need to flux that. Put some solder through the joint. I'm using Argotech, which is technically a silver flux. It's pretty much, I think it's some sort of borax, boric acid mix. And I've got it mixed with methylated spirits or denatured alcohol. Still doesn't quite work. Which is slightly stickier than using water and borax, but especially on silver, what it does importantly is gives you a thicker layer of flux and it sticks more cohesively to the surface all over than water and borax, which tends to boil off. Leaving the piece, certainly silver piece is more prone to fire stain, which is a pain to get off. It's a pain because you don't realise until you get to the polishing stage, and you've got to go again and again and again. Right, I put the solder, the little piece of paneling of solder beneath the joint. So initially, the idea is it will get drawn in by capillary action, and then we can turn it over and use gravity. And I want to pull the solder through the joint. I think I need to pull that. Pulled all this, I think I pulled that too much to the back. Cool. Right, that was the first one pre-cut. Right, now I want to make a size R, which we need 62mm gold wire. So what I'll do with this, just to measure it out, I use a pair of side cutters to put a little indentation where we need to cut. To mark it, it'll mark it on both sides, but not so deep that you get a sort of that it goes anywhere close to cutting through, because otherwise the bevel that this leaves, if you go too deep, it'll be deeper than the width of the saw blade and it will leave a sort of beveled edge. So it really is a very light nick, which is visible. It does two things: it shows you where to cut, and it also gives the saw blade a good spot to get started, so it's not skating left and right. So it's not very deep, but it's certainly deeper than you could practically do with a pair of dividers or a scribe. It's also less prone to slipping, scribing the whole thing. same thing with the punctures, just seeing which side looks the nicest to the outside. Although it's hard to tell at this stage. Seems slightly shallow at one end. Yeah, what you can do with these, you don't want to do it too many times. You can relocate. You have to make sure that it is relocated properly though. Close up on that. Get the iron co in there. Right, ring bender. This is a bigger size asked me. I need a bigger die for this. Start with this one. I use the plastic dies with this. Comes with metal ones, got the additional plastic ones. The metal ones do slightly mark, slightly. It's not, I wouldn't say it's not a deep mark, but it needs, they'll probably settle down with age, you know, they'll wear in. Bigger though, let's go small. It's almost like a burnished mark they leave, which, yeah, I recommend getting the plastic Delrin dies if you get one of these. Right, flat half round pliers, half round on the inside, flat on the outside. Just line this joint up. Run the saw blade through that. Again, the barrette, escaping on fire, just clean off the surface, clean off the burrs from the saw. Maybe a little close up of that so far. So again, flux and solder through, just run some solder through there. Again, solder under the joint, put it up into the joint, close fitting joint, so it just gets sucked up. Again, capillary reaction, and then I'll flip it over. Use gravity to pull it into the back side of it. Right, Next is size X we need to make tonight. Got quite a few of these tonight. 70mm. Not tonight, I've just got quite a few of these to make in general. So I get a little nick to mark where we need to cut and a little guide for the this 8/0 saw blade just to get started and stop it skating left and right. It sounds like the music stopped. Going again. See which side looks the best, and we'll use that as the outside. And they both look pretty good actually. That one looks like it's got some sort of grain marks from the one side of the draw plate, so I'll use that on the inside. Although it probably makes more sense to have it on the outside because it'd be easier to polish them out on the outside. But they're less visible if they don't polish out on the inside. This is a pretty big finger size for a 2mm ring. You know, someone out there wants a 2x1mm size X. They haven't got a lot of choice, they've got to buy from us probably. Or have one customed. Looks good. A little close up there. So that punch is about 1mm high, and this is only 2mm wide, so you've got 1/2mm either side to play with. If you're out, a fraction of a mil. It's out. You got to be pretty good, pretty accurate with that. Right, so this is a big one for this. This is a size X. I've got another one of these ring vendors which I'm going to make a video about when I unbox it. Got a bigger set somewhere, boxed. Had for a while. Right, let's run the saw blade through that. This definitely is the saw blade running through it. The other two you've probably gotten away with, but this one's because of the increased diameter and size, it's less. The larger they get, the more prone they are to, I wouldn't say misalignment, it's tolerance. Tolerance is increased. I might even have to run this 8.0 through it twice. One way and then the other. Especially as it's moving so much. Blade through the other way as well. It's closer. That's now as close as the others were before I run the blade through. Pulled that out and bent it and snapping. such a curl on it. I don't know if we're actually going to get that back in. If you've seen a hot blade do that before, it's completely U-bended. Didn't break though. Probably going to break now though. That 8/0 blade's almost like using a file, it's so fine. It's probably the best one to run through. I tend to run through what's ever in there. But for 18 karat gold, we really don't want to be chomping out a lot of metal, if you can help it. Those 8/0s, 6/0s, possibly. So I'm just cleaning up the surface, getting off the burrs, make sure the solder flows. It's important to get along the edges as well, or we end up with a little indentation. This ring is moving a lot because of the size of it. It's a cut for half round ring file. I'm going to use that instead. It's moving so much because of the size of it, I can't really grip it tightly enough, put enough tension on it to stop it moving. Close up of that. Size X, 18 karat gold. So flux and solder. Same procedure, solder underneath, draw it up with a reaction, flip it over, then let gravity do its thing. don't really, with the gold, unlike silver, you don't really need to heat up the whole piece in the same way you do silver to get the solder to flow, but let me concentrate for a moment. And I'll finish that sentence. So gone through. I think that needs to be pulled through to the inside a bit more. Might even need a fraction more solder in this one. I'll add a bit more solder. I don't think there's enough. Yeah, what I was saying is you don't necessarily need to heat up the whole of these gold rings in the same way you do with silver, because is a heat sink, but it's probably a good idea to actually anneal it evenly so it's all the same, well, I was going to say hardness, but softness after the forming process, which will just make it one. It's got to be hallmark, so make that stamping process slightly easier. And also make polishing easier. I think I just undersold that one. There was a visible line on the inside, but I just didn't quite have enough to fill the gap. Right, let's get this first one out. It should be clean by now. I'll give you a little look at that one. This was the size L. Cloth. Close up to that. Now I'm going to clean the excess solder on this one. For some reason I pulled it through to the inside, so the excess is actually on the inside, so I'm going to clean that off, clean the excess solder off the half round ring, and then we can round this off on the triplet. It's better to have the excess solder on the outside because it provides strength to the joint when you're rounding it off. Don't want the excess solder on the inside when you're rounding it off, because it there's not that much excess, but you know, that's where it is. If anything, I was a bit mean with the solder. It's expensive, that 18 carat solder. Ration that. Especially as it's hard as well. Right, let's round that off before I do anything on the outside of the joint. There's no excess solder on the outside of this. Right, there we go. I'm not going to clean off the whatever solder is left on there because this has still got to go into a ring. I mean, they're called ring stretchers, but I use them as a ring sizer to get. I'll take this up a fraction, maybe less than an eighth of a size over the L, and then compress it back down. And what that does is it makes it perfectly round and perfectly flat. Yeah, I use a ring stretcher to basically get the perfect size, because what is this? It's actually an M. Do I need an M? I think I do need an M, so I might. What will I do with that one? I think actually I'll compress it down to an L. Wasting gold there. Oh no, I might leave that as an M, because I do actually need an M. We'll see how the M goes. It'll be a heavy L. So there we go. There is our 18 carat yellow gold 2x1mm core, currently size M. But compressing that down to a size L, which is probably the better thing to do, will make it, size-wise, it'll make it indistinguishable even on a vernier gauge, you know. But it'll probably make it, I can tell you what the difference is in, what was the difference in weight? In 9 carat, well, it's the same weight, 1.2 grams, so that'll be heavier in things. So yeah, it's a fraction. There'll be it'll make it a little bit smaller, so it probably won't change the dimensions of it too much. So yeah, that's one ring. These ones, I probably need to leave in the pickle a little bit longer. Let's take a look at the next one up. See if that's got all of the fire stain and residue off of it. No, there's a little bit left there. Oh, actually, no, there might. Oh no, there is. I don't know if that's stuff I've just picked up off of there or. Actually, I think that's clean enough to clean up. Again, the excess solder, I pulled it through to the inside, so I've got excess solder on the inside and very little excess solder on the outside. Some, but minimal. Give you a close up of that, we'll clean that one up. So yeah, excess, a little excess would be the solder. You can probably make it out in the middle there. Minimal excess solder on the outside. Just clean that solder off the inside. Put it back round. What size was this supposed to be? This was an R. Cut 4. Ring file. I'm moving around a little bit here because normally I'd have the light down here, but it gets in the way of the camera. So I'm sort of working in the shadow of the bench bit where that light's hanging. think that's enough just to get the ring round. Right, rawhide mallet, triplet. The closer it gets to you can hear the tone coming from the triplet change, lowers in pitch. Right. We get that music going long enough, really, like. Again, I don't want to remove too much of this excess, so it's on it in place while I'm sizing it, just to give it strength. Where did I put the ring stick? There. That one's actually the right size, bang on. So that is on the line. That. Leading edge, R. A lot of jewellers will tell you that it's the middle or tray. All ring sizing sets are leading edge. I know that because I spent 15 years selling them. And if they're not, they're wrong. Like the ring size was wrong. We had loads of problems with them. It was a nightmare all the time. There was always one size that was wrong in every set, I think. Yeah. That's how they're supposed to be made, leading edge. The size sets, when you're sizing someone's finger, the ring you're using to do that, they're leading edge. But here's the thing, there's so little difference in the size, in each, from one to the next. You might notice 2 or 3 sizes, but people's fingers change size, and if it's hot, they swell up, if it's cold, they shrink, too much salt, they go one way or the other, and yeah, it's a miracle they fit at all. But you could give someone 3 rings, and you could give someone 3 rings in consecutive sizes, and they struggle to make up their minds. They're such, like they'll probably get a whole range of 5 over the, but people would narrow it down to 2 or 3 and struggle to pick one. And it depends, like I say, it depends on the weather and what they've had for lunch. Is this one clear? So yeah, luckily there's a lot of, there's actually quite a lot of leeway, there's also personal preference, whether someone wants it really loose, slightly loose, tight, thankfully there's a lot of give. That's why there are people that earn great money. There are divers, there are a lot of dive instructors, and at the end of the season they'll have their favourite spot. I've spoken to quite a few of them, and they'll go where the big yachts go, and they'll dive the seabeds, because when all the wealthy folk are diving off their mega yachts, or even when they're just little, any boat's expensive, let's face it, to fuel even a small boat, you wouldn't want that fuel bill. So when you're jumping off your boat, or you jump in cold water, your fingers shrink, and also adds, things can slip off easier in water, and yeah, the seabed becomes littered with, generally speaking, people jumping off a boat in certain spots. Have fancier jewellery, yeah. People earn good money going and collecting that. Well, one dive instructor said to me, it just helped in a good year, it can be the difference between having to get a job for winter and not. Be a dive instructor all summer. If you get a good haul, I mean, it's effectively piracy. If they get a good haul, they don't have to work all winter. And there's competition for that gig. So unless you know what you do, like I think yeah, unless you've already got all the gear, it's not worth doing. Straighten this out, the X. Yeah, I'm not telling you a well-known secret. That's all divers know about that one. Or a hidden secret, you know, that is that. All the excess solder on this one's on the outside. There's quite a lot because I ran extra solder through it, didn't I? Right, that is that. That's a size, probably somewhere close to a size X. A little bit over, but yeah, we're there. Won't take too much to get that down to a size X. It's a fraction of a size over. There we go. And just over the lines, that needs to, we'll take that. We'll make sure it's round. I need to take, where's the excess solder? You can see the excess solder on there. Before I take that down, that has to come off. That excess solder on the outside will come off. And I'll take it back down to perfect X. So yeah, there we go. That is how you hand make. That's the traditional way to hand make 18 karat yellow gold court rings. Making the wire using a draw plate. If you didn't have draw plates, you could put a piece of wire in the swage block and go at it with a hammer. That would be the real rudimentary way of doing it with limited tooling. I'm sure many jewellers have over the centuries, but yeah, there we go. There's two from the previous live streams and 3 from this evening, so I'll get those polished up tomorrow, and then we need to make some more. Wedding season. All year round now, eh? And anyone can get married. They're in business. Right, thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one, which will probably be tomorrow. Toodles.